Thanks for joining us. Canada's unemployment rate continues to decline, hitting its lowest rate in recorded history. The jobless rate fell to 5.2% in April, down slightly compared to the previous record low of 5.3% in March. The economy also added 15,300 jobs in April. Construction and retail saw the biggest declines in employment, while the service sector and public administration saw the largest gains. For more, I want to bring in Josh Nye. He's a senior economist with the Royal Bank of Canada, and he joins me now from Toronto. Hi, Josh.
Hi there.
So let's talk about this unemployment rate dropping to another record. What's driving those numbers?
Yeah, we're seeing very tight labor market conditions in Canada. Certainly the demand for labor is very strong. As of February, which is the latest vacancy data, we had 800,000 job openings in Canada. That's up from 500,000 pre-pandemic. So the demand for labor is there. It's really the supply of labor that is more constrained with this jobless rate at a record low. As you said, labor force participation is quite high as well. So it's really going to be difficult to generate significant job gains going forward. And that's why you saw a relatively muted 15,000 increase in employment in April.
So where are we seeing the changes the most? Like, where are people leaving industries? Which industries are they leaving, and where are they going?
So one of the areas where we saw a decent job gain in April was professional, scientific, and technical services, which is a pretty broad category. But those are people who are generally more able to work from home, and that's been an area of strong job growth throughout the pandemic. I think you've seen people gravitating to that type of work because they appreciate that flexibility and those work from home type options. You've seen people leaving the accommodation and food services sector. We saw a modest job gain there in April as the economy continues to move on from Omicron. But that's really a sector where there's still a long way to go to get back to pre-pandemic levels of employment. And I think that's going to be challenging. Again, the demand is there. Accommodation and food has actually the highest job vacancy rate in Canada. But again, people are moving away from that sector. And, it was a challenging environment for that sector over the past 2 years.
Why would they be moving away from that sector if we're supposed to be coming out of the pandemic, Josh? Or are these lagging numbers?
Well, again, the demand for jobs is there. I think it's more on the supply side. And I think you've seen people moving from that sector to these other sectors, again, where there's perhaps a bit more flexibility, those types of work from home options.
Right.
And in some cases, it's been people who have a post-secondary education and were perhaps underutilizing that in their previous industry. And they're now moving into an industry that better fits with their qualifications. And, that's a good news story in terms of their wages. Those are they tend to be higher wage industries, and also just for the productivity of Canada's economy as well.
Fair enough. But for those lower paying jobs with less of a need for example, post-secondary education, doesn't that open it up for, say, summer students to find a job no problem this summer, perhaps even with a bit of a wage increase?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Again, the demand is there, certainly. You haven't really seen all that much wage growth, interestingly, in the accommodation and food services sector, despite the job shortage challenges that they're facing. That might be changing going forward. I think that's going to be an increasing theme, not just in that industry, but in many industries in Canada, given how tight labor market conditions are. If we look at business surveys, whether it's a survey of larger firms or of smaller businesses, they're planning to increase their wages to attract and retain workers. And so I think we're going to see ongoing increases in wage growth over the second half of this year.
Okay.